Hey guys, it's Julesy, and I'm actually re-recording this video because I don't have the heart in me to post 3 blurry videos in a week. So this is a commitment to you guys. So I hope you're part of my Patreon, Cash App, Shop Smart Brown Girl. I hope you're supporting. And as I said in the last video, the internet's still very spicy. I think, it's gonna be spicy going straight into 2020. So let us indulge in these Smart Brown Girl discussions that you deserve. Hi, I'm Julesy, head Smart Brown Girl in charge. If you are new here, welcome to the party. Be sure to subscribe, and I need everyone to hit that like button and comment along because this is a dialogue and discussion, and the engagement just helps so much. So let us commence. Fantasia Barrino went on The Breakfast Club, and somehow the conversation pivoted to how Black women don't know how to let a man lead, and we need to fall back and be the queen via learning how to submit. Let's just play the clip.
Yeah, every month.
Because we need more of that. You know what I mean? We need more men to stand up and lead the way. Most women are trying to be the leader. That's why you can't find a man. You can't be the king in the house. Fall back and be the queen and let your man lead the way.
A woman look at that like, no, I could lead in my household. I could do this in my household. What does that mean?
That's not how it's supposed to be, and that's why we bump heads. And I feel like it's a generational thing, generational curse, and how society have placed our men. And women have to stand up and be the mother and the father and the provider. And so then now you are so bad, you can't be told nothing, that when the right man come, you lose him because you're trying to be the man. I was finna say,
right.
Man.
Okay, so for some background details, Fantasia has been married to Kendall Taylor since 2015. Google is so rude for pulling up his mugshot at the top of his search, but not much information is really available about him. He was arrested in 2012 for failing to pay child support. He had a child at 15. He's part owner of a transportation company here in Charlotte, North Carolina, Metro Transportation LLC. Can't really find any up-to-date information on the company. Website is under construction, Twitter, IG, Facebook, meh. And at most there's a picture of their courier vans, but there really isn't any way to surmise how much money or even what tax bracket Kendall is in. And based on what's available, I don't really think the presumptions about him making less than her are unfounded. And that's why I'm bringing this up, because I think a good bit of this discourse has been swayed by the belief that Fantasia is the breadwinner, therefore making it odd that she would so willingly pay the bills and lean heavily on the submissive wife rhetoric. And I mean, as I said already, it's not an unfair assumption. Also, I mean, Fantasia doesn't have a good track record with relationships, having had a very public scandal as the mistress of a capper who worked at a T-Mobile retail store. Her relationship with Antoine Cook was peppered with Fantasia's suicide attempt, his wife filing for divorce in 2011 and blaming Fantasia, Fantasia tattooing this married man's name above her heart, to birthing his child in 2013, a son named Dallas, to him in 2013 leaving Fantasia to return back to his wife.
Ooh, the ghetto!
But Fanny is now 6 years removed from her treacherous dealings, and I'm trying to be conscious of how much I let this pepper my perspective, because 6 years is enough time for significant growth. Now, this is going to be a long video because I'm going to insert the full clip of Kendall clarifying what his wife meant in that interview, and it's almost a 6-minute clip. So bear with me here, and if you've already seen it, I'll have a timestamp here on the screen and down below in the description box, which you can click, and we'll skip ahead to my actual comment.
Yeah. So when I got back home, he had kind of said something that piggybacked off what I was saying, and I thought it was so dope coming from the male perspective that I felt like the male and the female should hear. So
here's the issue. Submission is supposed to be a beautiful song and dance between two lovers. What's happened is men have abused that power. Forgive me, they've abused that gift. And we have been misled to think that it's something where it's a dominant spirit and we own every decision, we dictate everything, we rule with an iron fist. First of all, that's not love. What happens is, in my marriage, let me not speak for everybody, my marriage, I submit daily to the Most High. I stay in my scriptures. I continue to feed myself with things that help me build my character, to reshape my perspective that was messed up in the streets and dealing with different propaganda and programming and things like that, so that I can come to my wife from a pure position. So when I do that and she sees me and she witnesses over time that it's an authentic demonstration, her heart is moved and softened and compelled to submit to me. Yeah. What does that look like? That doesn't mean that I dictate every decision. I don't walk around the house saying what we're going to spend, how we're going to do it. We talk and we build. And I consider everything that's on her heart, her perspective, her position, her philosophy. I'll carefully weave that into my philosophy to figure out what's the best move for this family, keeping all of that in mind. Now, the moment I start to step outside of righteousness and I start to move from a place of emotion instead of analytics, she has every right to snatch that back because submission is a gift. When she sees me laying at the foot of the Father, she has no reason to withhold that from me. The problem is this. Men are not found in positions of leadership handling it with integrity. How you gonna lead your wife if you can't balance a checkbook? If you don't know what's going on in the stock market? You don't have a sound understanding of the finances. You can't create a budget. You don't understand what's going on in the educational system in your community that's impacting your kids. In order to lead, you gotta be so far ahead of your family that by the time they come to you with a situation or a problem, you've already dived into it, done your due diligence so that you can give leadership. You don't lead from your genitals. You lead from a gentle place of understanding. And the more she trusts, the more she can let go of things that she don't have to deal with and focus on the things that edify her. It ain't about money. We both hustlers. It's not about a dollar for dollar thing because we're one unit. If I fall, she falls. If she falls, I fall. Submission is solely about trust.
I think when women hear the word submission, we're like, what? Submitting. With my husband, like he said, to piggyback off what he just said, it was what he demonstrated. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't come in and say, all right, like he said, the budget is this, for that, this and the third. I watched how he did things. I watched how he budgeted. I watched him, and then I slowly became him, and I submitted in that. Yeah, now I think I'm more frugal than him, and that's not even being like gotta be frugal because we don't have it. It's just being smart. And the word, if you dig deep in the word with your partner, you'll start to see a lot of things that we're talking about. But yeah, I like that he broke that down because I'm a very strong woman. I like what I like. I'm very strong. But when it comes to allowing him to cover and lead this home, I sit back and allow him to do that, and it makes me better. Wow, that like.
Lead by example.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you want your wife to be humble, walk in humility. If you want your wife to forgive you, be quick to forgive. If you want your wife to consider, following you down a specific path, prove to her that you got the blueprint and that she's not following you to some unknown destination. My wife don't have to follow anything that she don't see me demonstrating.
Yeah.
So master the thing before you go out and try to teach it. It's like sometimes you see cats, as soon as they get a book and they read something, they start running trying to teach people on it, but you haven't applied it and gone through the proving grounds of being able to master that information yourself. So leadership is a forward-thinking thing. And when you do that, women's natural instinct is going to be to trust, to be able to submit their hearts. But again, this ain't a dominant thing.
Nah.
And I want my wife cold as me because if something ever happens to me, she don't like having
He
that
always
conversation.
say that.
If something ever happens to me, she need to know how to get that bag. She need to understand where the money's at. She need to know how to ask the right questions. I ain't telling you to ask nobody nothing. You tell them what belongs to you. She can't do that if I'm controlling everything. So my wife needs to be a direct female reflection of the man that I am. Facts.
Come on now.
You come on.
I always said the wise woman once told me, the older women used to tell me, stop, boy.
What up?
The woman is the neck and the man is the head. And without the neck, the head can't move.
Two heads is just a head, but see how that works. See how that works.
So yeah. And I'm gonna end it with this. We ain't perfect and we ain't trying to be perfect. We still growing. And we just wanna share that with all those out there that's still growing and want.
And get clarity. Don't be trying to twist my wife's words up at the end of the day because I'm proud of her for standing.
They try to do that?
Man, whatever to them.
So here's where I land because, again, I want to be mindful. People have every right to be religious and to have their religious views inform the household and marriage they cultivate. There are likely men and women who agree with Fantasia. I do not, and I'll explain in a bit. And definitely there are those who agree with the points that Kendall made. But for me, any part of dating advice aimed at Black women that makes claim that their actions within a marriage and how they partner, any advice that says that Black women only learn to do this because they're doing too much, and none of that too much is violence, it's just too much autonomy, agency, and informedness, and then centering that advice as if it's a mode of liberation, a way to uplift the Black community, I'm just not with that. Now, how we partner is not going to lift the Black community out of systems of oppression. Giving up my autonomy or agency, deducing me to a singular part of the body or a piece of apparel is not benefiting the Black community. That just ain't it, Chief. And I know I'm the neck and he's the head analogy sounds real good. It's just my brain and ability to articulate my thoughts are so valuable. I don't want to be relegated to only being the windpipe and some neck muscles. But in all seriousness, her husband Kendall came in and cleaned it up a bit. But I would say he's not actually talking about submission. If we could open our Bibles to the book of Ephesians chapter 5. For my Habibis, that's the chapter 4 of the Quran. And for the heathens, Ephesians is in the New Testament. After Galatians, okay, I don't even go to church. I'm just messing with y'all. But for real, it is chapter 5 of Ephesians where much of this discussion of wives submitting to their husbands comes from in the context of black folks in the church. However, the scripture does say to submit to one another, and then depending on how you interpret it, delves into headship of the husband. However, headship does not simply mean that all men are there for the leaders over women. Headship is a responsibility you have to work towards. Whether you lean on the ideology of headship because of your religion or because that's how your parents did it or for whatever reasons, headship is not a matter of, oh, well, because I am a woman, I'm flatly going to submit to this man. If this is where religion leads you, there's a whole list of responsibilities of compassion and respect within a marriage and turning to the one above you as your leader that come with being the head of the household. And even for those that believe the man is the head, headship does not equal leadership. Both men and women can still be leaders in their households and their communities. My personal ideology lands me on that households are much more likely to be a rotating 40-60 dependent on each person's strengths and skill set. We both lead in various aspects of our life and it will evolve and change with time and compromise on both our parts. But we are to value all the ways in which we work together as a unit, not set up as, oh, I'm just submitting to that nigga. Not my cup of tea. Now, I do want to get back to the messaging from Fanny because I feel like people are taking a little bit less issue with Kendall's messaging, but Fanny really dug into the patriarchy like she's Steve Harvey in one of them silly Stacey Adams suits. What Fantasia said has long been found in the black church, and it's common messaging in the canon of black traditionalism that black women and especially single black mothers are the downfall of the black community, and it's wild to see all sides of the black dating advice world lean into the message of black women are too independent and used to doing it on their own, and that they therefore either raise their daughters who don't know how to get a man, or they raise their boys who don't know how to be a man, or they don't know how to treat a man, or they don't know how to value themselves, or they don't know how to get what they need in life. I mean, I want us to take a moment and just stop shaming black women for surviving in a world that wants nothing more than to snuff them out. Just stop all of it. If you're happy to pay the bills, to be the financial backbone of your household, and submit to your man because that's your ideal, by all means, do that. But I do want to challenge us to think a little harder and be more mindful about the shame and blame we put on our black women ancestors and the black women amongst us. Telling black women to give up power without saying nothing of what the men should be or need to be doing. We need to untether ourselves from that patriarchy. Saying we need to submit in order to be happy, like this ain't 1892 and it didn't even work back then, so why are you trying to tell me to work it right now? Like, no. In order to have happy homes, both partners have to be invested in their emotional maturity and respect for one another. That's it. That's the only universal truth of dating advice I personally will ever dole out. But sis, you paying the bills, while some into your husbands ain't liberating anyone but Kendall, who's definitely caked up. And I ain't mad at it as long as you're happy with it.